now taking over your airwaves. In 3, 2, 1.
Ladies and gentlemen, from the studios in the wrestling capital of the South, it's another terrific episode of The BENGEBUSTER SHOw. Please welcome your host, Tony Binge.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to another edition of The BENGEBUSTER Show, coming to you right here, Memorial Day weekend. We're getting ready to rock and roll and party. The holiday is coming up, and there's a lot we're going to cover on tonight's podcast. But before I can do that, I want to bring on my co-host, cohort, co-conspirator, and tag team partner. I'm talking about rock and roll Chris, Playboy Plano. Chris, what is going on?
Terrific, Tony. Thank you for having me on. We are coming up to the end of May. Memorial Day weekend is here. And, wow, we got a great show tonight. We're talking professional wrestling, rock and roll, and even a little bit of the nature boy, Ric Flair.
Yeah, man, I'm telling you, it's going to be a great show. I apologize to our listeners at home. On my 2-week hiatus, I had the big show with the PWF. I had a little mini trip to our local theme park, Carowinds, with my son. So, and then Chris has some things going on as well, concerts and stuff. So we took a little break, but we're back this week, and we're going to be rocking it out and telling everybody about the great things that are happening, that are going to be happening here in pro wrestling. Chris, we're getting closer to the Motley Crue reunion stadium tour coming up here in the next few weeks. So, man, I am getting pumped up and excited. I can't wait for it.
Man, the stadium tours are coming. The summer concert season is here, Tony. The outdoor concerts, whether it's stadium tours, amphitheaters, or even small, intimate outdoor amphitheaters, the concert touring season is a buzz right now, and boy, these acts are touring. They're trying to make up for the last couple of years when there wasn't so much live concerts taking place. But boy, I'm excited. Motley Crue, Def Leppard, Poison, Joan Jett. I even think Vince Neil's other band he's playing with, as well as opening up the stadium tour every night. So it's going to be on fire, and we're about a month away here when they invade Charlotte, North Carolina on a Tuesday night.
I'm telling you, Chris, I'm so excited. I'm beside myself. Here lately, I've been listening to a lot of Motley Crue and Poison and getting ready. And incidentally, what's really cool as we are approaching the stadium tour, May the 23rd this week, just a couple of days ago, marked the anniversary of Poison's debut album, Look What the Cat Dragged In. That was a tremendous album, and that is going to be we're going to be talking about that today. That's going to be on our flashback. But one thing I want to talk about before we get into that, Chris, is the internet is booming, and everything, like all kind of new stuff's coming out. And to give somebody, or to give our listeners at home, a little peek behind the curtain, when I first started doing these podcasts 3 years ago, all I had like this little mixer and a cheap $100 microphone, and that was it, and a laptop. And as the years went by, and I got more into podcasts and wanted to, have a better sound and a better, the company called Rode came out with this machine called the Rodecaster Pro, and that's what I use now to record my podcast. I use that, and I use I use the Rodecaster Pro, and then I also use a Shure SM7B microphone. The equipment I use is the same equipment that some of the best podcasters in the world do, and that's how I'm able to have all these great little sounds and stuff. And Chris, I just heard yesterday, and it's exciting news. Rode has improved this Rodecaster Pro, and they're coming out with a Rodecaster Pro 2. It's coming out later on this month, and guess what?
What?
The Binge Buster Show is getting one too.
All right, very good.
I placed my order. For the new one last night, and the company I get mine from, they sent me an email and said that I should have that new Rodecaster Pro 2 around the end of June. So fans, hopefully by the end of June, I'll have the new one up and running. It's supposed to be so much better and give it better sounds and be faster, quicker, better. So I'm excited to have that, and I just want to share that with everybody here tonight. So now let's get into our podcast, and we're going to go talk about this week's Classic Flashback.
This week's Classic Flashback.
All right, fans, this week's flashback is Poison's Look What the Cat Dragged In. It's a debut album of Poison. It was released on May the 23rd, 1986 on Enigma Records. Had several hit songs, Talk Dirty to Me, I Want Action, and I Won't Forget You. The album peaked at number 3 on the U.S. Billboard 200, and it was 3 times multi-platinum by 1990. Great album. The total album, 33 minutes, 24 seconds. It was produced by Rick Brode. Chris, not very often does a band have a debut album that goes, that peaks this high on the Billboard chart. So that right there was letting us know that Poison wasn't just, a new act.
No, I mean, Tony, I've seen Poison. I can't even tell you how many times in concert I've seen Poison and how many times I've seen Bret Michaels solo as well, minus, the guys, behind them with Poison. And, you look at the album, there's 4 or 5 songs off of the album that they still play today that are in the set list. Made the band. I mean, the sexiest of the songs obviously is "Talk Dirty to Me," and that is the song everyone does like to hear. But "Look What the Cat Dragged In" is the staple opening song for Poison for how many years and decades now?
Right.
And
yeah.
we've seen Bret come out to that song and. I've heard them play Cry Tough live. It's not so much in the set list anymore, but I Want Action and I Won't Forget You, absolutely. And, but there's some other good deep cuts on there as well. It's a great album.
Yeah. And Chris, some of the funny stories I want to talk about this album really quick. This album came out, I was in middle school. And I remember seeing, kids in my class come into school wearing these Poison T-shirts, and I'm like, man, that is some good-looking women. Who are these? What's these girls' names? And they're like, those are not girls, those are dudes. I'm like, what? But then, so I went out and bought the album, and I'm like, man, this is really cool. And then I started watching, of course, MTV and seeing the videos. And Chris, I can't tell you how many times that I broke up with some chick and I used the lyrics to "I Won't Forget You" in the breakup letter.
Yeah, man. I mean, I'm telling you, man, it was a great time. I mean, it was a perfect time for rock and roll, and I mean, for Poison. I mean, it really catapulted them into other albums, into other hits for the band off of here. But, I mean, like I look at there's some other, songs in here, like Cry Tough, sticks out to me. Want Some, Need Some, and even Let Me Go to the Show. Great songs that they have played in the past live, for fans, definitely more in the earlier days.
Yeah. Yeah, and I know now, man. If we go, or not if, but when we go see Poison in concert, when they play "Talk Dirty to Me," the place explodes. People love that song. When they play "I Won't Forget You," I see the couples out there dancing and all this kind of thing. But anytime I hear "I Won't Forget You," man, I don't think about dancing with somebody. I think about all those chicks I broke up with. About writing down the lyrics of this song, and they're like, "Oh man, Tony is so sweet," man, and they wasn't mad at me. but they didn't know that I was just writing down lyrics from a song, you know.
Yeah, no, and you kind of think back and you shake your head on those days, and you're probably like, wow, I dodged one here.
Right.
So many years later.
You know, Chris, funny thing, when you're a teenager, you do some crazy stuff. And of course, back in those days, there was no internet. So it was hard for people to, Google your lyrics or Google what you write and know where you stole it from. But I can tell you at least of two occasions that I used the lyrics to "I Won't Forget You" in a breakup letter. But I have to tell you, the probably the best breakup or the worst, what do you call it, that I ever done was me and a friend of mine from high school named Steve Behringer. He and I got together one night, and I was in a dilemma, and this dilemma started rather young, and it kind of carried through the years. But I was dating this one girl in middle school, and but she had moved away, and then she moved away, and she had a long distance number. So my parents they wouldn't let me make long distance phone calls because remember when the NWA had that when they first came out with that 900 number where you could call and hear the matches. So
right.
So I had called that a few times and ran up my parents' bill, so they put a block on their phone where you couldn't make any long distance calls. So I couldn't call this girl, so we didn't talk very much. And then fast forward, ninth grade starts up, and I meet this other girl. I start dating her, and then this other girl and her sister come to visit me, and on my dresser is this picture of me and the new chick, and they come in, hey, how you doing? And I see her staring at the picture, and I'm not thinking, wait a minute, we're supposed to be dating. I kind of forgot that part since we ain't seen each other in a while. So she left and went over to my friend Alton, which you know Alton. They went to Alton's house and go, what's up with Tony, man? He's got some picture of him and some chick on his dresser. And Alton's like, oh, that's his girlfriend. And then she goes, well, I thought I was. He's like, oh, that's right. I forgot. You and him were dating. He must have forgot too. So he calls me on the phone and tells me. I'm like, dang, so I go next door because my friend Steve lives next door. I'm like, Steve, what do I need to do? He goes, dude, you can't have two girlfriends. You're going to have to break up with one of them. And I'm like, yeah. So he gives me the pros and cons. So I decide the girl that's out of town, that's the one I need to break up with. So he and I spent about 45 minutes writing her this breakup letter. And we ended the letter by saying, don't go away mad. Just go away. Because I used the Motley Crue. And so after that, in my breakup letters, I stopped using "I Won't Forget You" and went to using "Don't Go Away Mad, Just Go Away," and pissed a bunch of them off. But anyway, I got to get back to the podcast. That's some old Terrific Tony stuff, and I'm not like that anymore. I'm now happily married and walking the straight and narrow line. But back to this Poison album, really fast. Not only, Chris, did they have these major songs that were all over the radio, but man, "Talk Dirty to Me" was a huge hit video on MTV.
Oh God, yeah. I mean, just the song and the lyrics and the title, and the guys had the look. I mean, they had this look. They had big hair. They had makeup. Brett was in phenomenal shape. All the guys were back then. I mean, they really were. And they had this look to them that was like, wow, okay, yeah, we can relate to this. There's lights, there's confetti, there's lasers, there's pyro, and it worked, and it was made for television. And it had this lingo, wow, talk dirty to me. Yeah. Every guy's fantasy,
right,
meaning,
yeah.
The hot high school or college girl, out and about on a Friday or Saturday night.
Yeah. And if you go back and watch that video, I love the beginning of it, where the mom and dad are sitting watching television, the telephone rings, the mom or dad they pick it up and they're like, hey, call the daughter, hey, it's for you. And the mom says, that Brett sounds like such a nice boy. And then you hear very distinctly, you hear the girl say, I can't wait to get my hands all over you. And of course, then Brett goes into a hit it, CC. and then goes into the song, and then the whole video is just a big party. And if you go back and look at all these Poison videos, all the videos were a big party. And it lets you know that not only was Poison a party, fun, have a good time kind of band, but they were serious musicians. And Chris, you and I have talked about this before. When we go to the stadium tour, Motley Crue and Def Leppard are headlining this tour, but we all know Poison's going to have the most energy.
Oh yeah, I mean, Poison is going to have a lot of energy. Brett is going to do his thing, running around the stage and entertaining the crowd. If there is one thing, I've never seen Poison in a stadium tour personally. I've seen them more in amphitheaters and in coliseums. It is a big stage to cover. I'm not sure how much square footage they're going to get. As they're second in line, coming out of the, second or third in line, prior to Def Leppard and Motley Crue flip-flopping every night of who's headlining that tour. But it'll be interesting. And it's going to be hot. I mean, you're in the middle of the summer here. It's going to be some hot nights for them out there. And, we know what they're good at play as far as the hits go.
Yeah.
If there's one thing that's been kind of the Achilles heel with Poison over the years and the last couple of decades is that their set list is too predictable.
Yeah.
And Brett likes to stick to the same 10, 11 songs, 12 songs every night and not wiggle any room with it. Can they pull a couple out of the vault that might catch some people off guard? Yes, they can. Can they get rid of some of the cover stuff that they do? Yes, they can. We know they like to pay tribute to Leonard Skinner and, just a couple of other bands, Kiss as another one, and some cover songs. And that's all good and all. That gets the crowd into it. But they're also a band that has enough in the catalog that can pull a couple out of the woodwork that I think may catch some off guard as well.
I agree with you 100%. And, I really think that this this tour is going to be probably definitely the talk of the summer. And it's definitely going to be the tour everybody wants to see. I'm just excited to be able to go and I'm going to be on the 6th row, on Mick Mars' side of the stage. So if you fans out there or listeners at home, follow the Binge Buster Facebook page. Make sure you go over and check it out, because I'm planning on doing some live feeds while I'm there. Hopefully get with Chris and he and I do a quick little how you doing podcast, and just live podcast right there. Hopefully, and man, it's just gonna be a great time, Chris.
Man, it is. It totally is. I mean, June 28th, Tuesday night. I want to say it's the sixth stop on the tour. I want to say they are starting a couple of weeks earlier in Atlanta, Georgia. They're going to pop down into Florida and a couple other cities, and they're going to be here in Charlotte. And it's going to be wide open, and it's going to be a Tuesday night. This date has been worked around for the last couple of years. It was originally supposed to be a Saturday show here 2 years ago. Then it got moved to a Thursday last year. It got postponed again now to a Tuesday night in late June. So, hey, looking forward to it. I'd love to do a short podcast with you that afternoon. Maybe we can give a little sneak peek of what set lists look like and what expectations could be. But, for all the bands, I mean, they're going to have to, I think a lot of people are interested, what's it going to look like, what Motley Crue and Def Leppard flipping each night on their sets, who's headlining, will they get more stage time or not, or how that's going to all look like. I think a lot remains to be seen, because they've had a lot of time to plan for this tour.
Yeah.
Over the last, 2 to 3 years. I'm not sure if Poison is practicing at this point. I know Brett's still doing some solo stuff on his solo tours and other things, but I'm sure the other guys are ready. But, yeah, I mean, they're going to get their time out there and right after Joan Jett, and they're going to have their opportunity to set the stage and, for Def Leppard and Motley Crue. And, hey, man, I hope they have a lot of energy. And might even be able to hold up those bands a little bit if they're that high energetic and be like, wow, okay, let's, what do these other bands have?
Yeah. I mean, it's going to be exciting to see, and I'm definitely looking forward to it. Now, moving on to the wrestling part of the podcast, just a couple of weeks ago, May the 14th, I was part of this huge event down in York, South Carolina. I know we promoted this show a lot on the podcast if you went back and listened to some of the previous episodes. But on this tremendous card put on by the Patriotic Wrestling Federation, took place there at York Comprehensive High School. With Chris, we had 9 big matches on this card, loaded out, and if any listeners at home follow my Facebook page, you saw I got to hang out with the hardcore legend himself, Mick Foley, and Mick said that he loves the Binge Buster show and he listens to it, and he's super excited for the show and hopes to be on one day. But Mick is a very busy guy, and so we're definitely going to work on it. We'll see what happens there. But giving you a quick rundown, Chris, of the matches. Opening match was our good friend, Handsome Jimmy Boogie Woogie Man Valiant and the Soul Patrol, and they took on yours truly, Freak Daddy AJ Frost and Chris Thunder Anderson. That match went very, very quickly. Chris, me and Boogie started it out. We done our normal routine, getting the crowd going. Chris, I'll tell you this, man. The entrance to the ring, the two teams coming out and getting in the ring lasted longer than the match, because we got in the match, and Boogie and I had done a couple little things, and next thing I know, him and the Soul Patrol had all of us in the sleeper hold, and we were out, and they were the door, and Boogie was headed back to Virginia. So
Tony, I know this wasn't your game plan going, and I know you wanted him one-on-one, and I know we even talked off on the side saying you might toss him to the outside and they could turn into a street fight real quick.
That was my plan, but Boogie had other plans. He sold his gimmicks, and he needed to get back to Boogie's wrestling camp. So
I think there'll be another day down the road.
Yes, for sure.
And maybe this time it's you and Boogie one-on-one in the ring.
Yes. One more time.
Else.
I promise I'm going to retire him one day.
It's coming soon enough.
I'm telling you. The match number 2 was to crown the inaugural Patriotic Championship champion, student of the game, Stuart Snodgrass, with party starter Keith Mack, and they were taking on the Greek Wolverine Crucifix, and Stuart Snodgrass walked away with the victory as the very first PWF Patriotic Champion. So that was a great match. The next match was the Don of all Dons, Don Furio. He took on the All-American Blue Chipper, Chase Emery. That was a great match, but here's the match that I enjoyed. Mr. Number 1, George South, and the Golden Gladiator Number 2, a good friend of mine. Both those guys are good friends of mine. They took on Jerry the King Lawler, the voice of our childhood. Jerry the King Lawler, and he took on, his partner was Big Nasty, one half of the Moonshine Express, and Lawler had a lady in his corner, Miss Larkin. Had a chance to see her and talk to her backstage, and she's a very young girl and getting her start in wrestling. And I think Chris, I think she's going to do really well. And incidentally, she ended up turning on Jerry Lawler and joining up with George South and the Golden Gladiator. So she was doing everything she could to make a name for herself. And so she came with Lawler and left with the Golden Gladiator and George South. Then here's the match that really, really pissed me off. So the coaches of this school had went on their Facebook page and had been talking all this smack about my good friend AJ Frost. And so AJ said, Tony, I know at the last school, you and JP were cheated and taken out of this match, beat by these assistant teachers. So I know that you got great experience. So come and join me. Let's go take care of these people. So we get in that ring, and next thing I know, this one teacher is supposed to be a teacher, and he's throwing drop kicks like Flying Brian used to do, and knocking us all outside the ring. And then the assistant principal, Mr. Zach Snyder, choke slammed after, of course, he got the assist. They cheated to win this match. So as these other two goons are chasing us outside the ring. Now, people might say that we were running away, but we were not running. We were being chased. But we left the ring, and while we were outside the ring, the head football coach, Dean Boyd, gets up in the ring, hits my man AJ with his clipboard, and then he stumbles into Principal Zach Snyder, and he choke slams AJ into the middle of next week, and all. Me and JP are trying to check on AJ to make sure he's still breathing, and then these other two goons get in the ring from behind and choke us out, and we lose. And it just wasn't fair, Chris.
That's why this sounds like a wild match. I don't know, Tony. Maybe wrong place, wrong time.
But no, Chris.
I don't know.
On a serious note, Chris, at this point in my wrestling career, man, I cannot even tell you how excited it makes me to like come to these schools
right,
and get in the ring before the show and work with these teachers and show them the basics of pro wrestling, and then get in there and have a match with them and have other people come up to me and go, Tony, man, you are a great teacher, because those guys, the what you taught them, and when you guys do the match, it looks like that they've been wrestling for years. And what a compliment that is. And I take a lot of pride in that. As a lot of people may not know this, but 20 years ago, I did have my own wrestling school, and I trained several guys. But now I've got so much more experience, and I really, really do enjoy working with these teachers. But really, what makes me happiest is when the match is over, when we go back to the dressing room, and those teachers come up to me and they thank me for taking the time and showing them that stuff, and seeing the smiles on their faces that they can go back and tell their wives and their classmates and their children and their students, hey, for 10 minutes I was a wrestling superstar. That really makes my heart feel good, Chris.
Yeah, that's awesome. If you could leave like that, Tony, and you entertained the crowd that evening, and everyone, if everyone could walk back and say, hey, I'd love to see that match again, or I felt I got my money's worth, or hey, I got out of the house and we had a great night on the town, no matter what town it is, you've done all you could at that point.
Yeah.
And you're always gonna, the sun's gonna come up and we're gonna fight another day somewhere down the road. So.
Yeah, and it's so much fun to be able to do that and just see the reaction of the people when we do it, and it's just a lot of fun, and that building especially, Chris. I mean, I think there were close to 1,000 people there, and when that kid hit all three of us with a drop kick, the roof came off. I mean, it was like a Road Warrior pop. I was so proud of that moment. It was a lot of fun. Then moving on, we had the PWF tag team champions, All Worm, No Soul. They're new champions. They just won those at the last event, and they took on the Irish Hand Grenade, Myrick Moore and Derek Driver. Very good match that those guys had. Then the PWF heavyweight champion, Mike Maughan, he defended the belt against TNA superstar Suicide. Very good match that those guys had. Then we go to the main event. The current reigning and defending Ring of Honor tag team champions, the great tag team FTR, Dax Harwood, and Cash Wheeler with their manager that night, hardcore legend Mick Foley, as they took on Master and Machine, Griff Garrison and Marcus Cross, with Agent of the Stars, Bill Behrens. Really great match, Chris. They win a 20-minute time limit draw. And then of course, Mick Foley came out and said, listen, you guys have had a great match. These fans don't want to see this match in a draw. So let's go into sudden death rules. They go into a sudden death and they wrestle probably another 7 or 8 minutes. And then Wheeler gets the win, after countering Garrison's attempt of a splash off the top rope. And then, of course, when the match was over, the Master Machine's manager was not very happy, and he started, giving them down the road. And then they grab him, turn him around, and guess who made their who made a surprise appearance, Chris?
I don't know. I have no idea
Mr. Sacco. So Mick Foley pulls out Mr. Sacco, and put it on the manager and choked him out, and everybody left happy. And of course, FTR thanked the crowd for coming out and giving support, and they really put over Master Machine about being future stars in pro wrestling. It was a really great night of wrestling action. I had so much fun. I got to hang out backstage with Big Papa Pump Scott Steiner, FTR, Mick Foley, Jerry Lawler. I even had a cool conversation with Jerry Lawler. He walks up to me and he says, "Hey, Handsome told me a lot about you." And I said, "Well, whatever he told you, it wasn't true." And he said, "No," he goes, "Handsome told me, watch my match tonight, because I'm working with one of my students, Tony, and that guy is he's really good." And I said, "Well, thank you, Jimmy, Lawler." I said, "I appreciate the comment." And he said, "Yeah." He said, "I watched that match." He said, "I really enjoyed it." He said, "You guys done a really good job." And he goes, "I see Handsome hadn't changed much. He got in there and got out." I said, "Yes, he did."
Oh boy!
So, but really fun night. I love. I definitely enjoy working for the Patriotic Wrestling Federation. They definitely have a great following, and they put on a top-notch show, complete with Titantrons and laser lights. And I mean, it's like coming to the big time, man. So anytime that the PWF is in town close to you, I highly recommend getting a ticket, coming out and seeing them, because they do bring in the who's of professional wrestling. I mean, my God, I'm at every show. So what do you expect? No, I'm joking.
Hey, I saw Jerry Lawler was on Monday Night Raw just this past Monday night.
That's what I'm saying.
WWE, and it was in the town 9 days earlier. I mean, so though Jerry the King Lawler might have been a little over his head what they had him involved in at 72 or 73 years old, but hey, he was here locally, and you got up close and personal to see a legend.
Yeah, he done a really good job. Now, moving on to our last topic of the podcast, and it's the buzz of the internet. Chris, the greatest world champion of all time, Nature Boy Ric Flair, is coming back. He is lacing up the boots one more time for one more farewell match. It's going to be taking place in Nashville, Tennessee, and I know we've been hearing a lot of speculation online. I know a couple weeks ago when they first announced it, they announced that it could be Ricky Steamboat as his opponent. But we know now Mr. Steamboat has decided that he didn't want to be part of that. So Chris, that leaves us. Who is going to fill those shoes?
I mean, Tony, there have been a lot of names thrown around, both current, past, present, however you want to line it up. I mean, this has been marketed that this is going to take place at the end of July in Nashville, Tennessee. It's going to be a 6-man tag team match of sorts, and this will be Ric Flair's supposed. And Tony, I still have raised eyebrows when I say supposed, because we've heard this how many times?
Right.
The last match, I kind of sit here wondering, is this match more for the fans, or is this more for Ric Flair?
I think
I don't know.
Listen, we all know that it's no secret, and Chris, you know as well as I do because you've been in the business. Fans, when you become a pro wrestler and you get really involved in it, it's just like any sport. Football players, baseball players, hockey players, they all. When you're in, and you're in for life. And when you're somebody like Ric Flair, who was the greatest of all time, who everyone looks up to, who a lot of people pattern themselves after, and when you go back and guys that are our age, mine and Chris's age, 40s, 50s, 30s, 40s, 50s, that age group, we grew up on Ric Flair, and it almost seemed like I remember when Nitro was really big. I would watch Nitro until I see Ric Flair, and when Ric Flair had his segment, I would turn it off because there really wasn't anything else on there that got that I cared about other than seeing what Ric Flair was going to be doing.
Correct.
And and I have contemplated, and I have been sitting here banging on my checkbook and my credit cards and talking to the office here. Office is the wife, but talking to the office and trying to figure out how to make this happen, to go down to Nashville, to see this 3-day event and see Ric Flair live in his last match. And I'm not saying I'm not going, but I'm not saying I am going, but I am definitely on the fence. I think it would be cool, to be there. But getting back to, is Ric Flair doing this for Ric Flair or the fans? I think it's a little bit of both. I think it's more so Ric Flair wants to prove to everybody that he still got it at 70 some years old. And I have to be honest with you. I've watched some of his stuff that he's done online with Jay Lethal where they're working out, and I can tell you, man, I hope when I'm 70 some years old, I can still go that speed and still take bumps. Although I will be honest with you, I have been, this August will make 30 years that I have been a professional wrestler. So I can't sit here and tell you that I'm going to be wrestling, because I'm in my 40s. I'm not going to sit here and tell you, Chris, my good friend, and all the listeners at home that I'm going to be wrestling another 40 years, because I'm definitely not.
Right.
Maybe I'm on a 5-year plan. I don't know, but I do know when I wake up in the morning and I can look at myself in the mirror and go, in my heart, I can't be the person I am today anymore. Then I think at that point I'm gonna hang up my boots, but I'm still going to be involved in wrestling somehow. I'm still going to be doing my podcast. I'm still going to be going to the shows. Who knows? Maybe the PWF will hire me as a trainer and they open up a training school. That would be great too. But I'm going to be involved somehow. And I think with Ric Flair, he can't be like an agent. He can't be somebody that just signs autographs. He's got to be involved because for all those years he was the world champion. He was the last traveling world champion that went from continent to continent, territory to territory. He was the last one, and I think it's hard for him to step out of that, to step away from that. What do you think, Chris?
Yeah, it is. I mean, listen, wrestling has been in Ric Flair's blood since, he started wrestling, and I think a little bit wants to maybe prove to himself that he could still do this. And, I don't know. Could this be planned out a little bit longer? Probably. To me, Tony, I'm a guy who's, sitting, a row or two back looking at this. It looks a little rushed. I'm going to be honest with you. for whatever reason. It does. The match, there's no storyline. The only buildup is this is Ric Flair's last match. It's happening in Nashville, Tennessee. Nashville's never, ever been, at least in my opinion, a strong wrestling town. Versus there's other cities out there with much more deeper wrestling history. With that said, hey, a good friend of yours, you just saw Scott Steiner 9 days ago, didn't you?
Yeah, sure did.
Scott Steiner has some very choice words about this match.
Oh, I'm sure.
Online.
Yeah, I'm sure.
He says he wants to kill Flair in the ring. So,
oh my God,
and probably can.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
Today, I mean, and so whoever Flair is stepping in the ring with, we've heard Ricky Morton and Robert Gibson's names, as opponents. They're a little bit younger than Flair, but they're no youngsters either getting into this match. Obviously we know Flair had some feuds with Ricky, one-on-one, for a time, especially during the Great American Bashes and things of that nature. So it's going to be an interesting match. I don't know. I mean, it's at the end of the day, whoever buys this thing, whoever goes to this event, I guess you're buying it or going to it to say, hey, I was there. Hey, I saw this. And he was 73 years old and he walked to the ring, like it was 1985 all over again. Yeah. And he's in the heart of the Bashes and, like I said, what you're going to get beyond that, you were there and you saw it. But again, he's 73 getting into the ring, but you also have to have an expectation that it's not going to be Ric Flair walking the aisle at Starrcade, a Flair for the Gold, or, walking into War Games in 86, 87.
Right, exactly.
So
it's definitely not that.
You got to just keep things in perspective.
Now, I do have an inside scoop. Mm-hmm. I do know, I'm 99% sure I know who Flair's opponent is going to be in this match. 99% sure, Chris, I know who's involved in this. But right now, I'm not going to tell the listeners at home because I don't want to let it out of the bag just yet. But
there's still that 1%. There's still that 1%.
There's 1%. I'm telling you, 1%. But I will tell you this: I am 99% sure I know who the opponent is going to be. On my Facebook page, when Flair first started talking, hey, I'm going to do this match. So I already knew at that point that Ricky Steamboat had been approached to do this match. I had spoke with somebody that was very privy to all the details when I was at a wrestling event a few weeks ago, and he told me, hey, there's a big event about to happen, and it's going to be tremendous. And Ric Flair is going to make a return to the ring, and his opponent is going to be Ricky Steamboat. So I already knew that. So I went online and I kayfabed it a little bit, but I'd see people talking about, who's Flair's opponent going to be. And I said, the only person that can be is Ricky Steamboat. So him and Steamboat had the best matches. And at that point, Steamboat was contemplating, he'd already been approached, and they really believed that they had him signed, sealed, delivered, ready to do this match. And then Steamboat decided not to do it. However, I do know who Steamboat's replacement is. I know for a fact who this guy is. And I'm telling you, Chris, I'm excited. I hope that the person that they have chosen, I hope everything works out, because I believe that these guys have enough history that it will really, really, really sell tickets once they announce it. But I will say this to my listeners at home. If you tune in to the Binge Buster Show next week, I'm going to give you the first hint of who Ric Flair's opponent at the his last match is going to be. But you have to tune in next week for my first hint. And I'm telling you, I have the inside scoop. I am not sitting here working you people. I'm telling you, I know who the opponent is. So next week I'll be giving some hints. So I'm excited about that, Chris.
Tony. Oh, yeah, I'm excited too. You got me excited. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. I've got several names in my head right now. Mm-hmm. Not going to reveal any names. I at least have 3 worthy opponents that I think can fit into the picture. And who knows? I may even still be off. You never know.
Yeah,
but I'll be looking forward to these hints and revealing. But at the end of the day, this is going to be interesting over the next 8-9 weeks. You know, how this plays out, how this is marketed. You know, and we'll see. And for the participants that are in this match, whoever the 6 may end up being, and whoever's the referee that gets the nod for this match as well.
Oh, I think I know who the referee. I think I already know who the referee's going to be too.
Right. So
he was a. And I'll give you. I will tell y'all. I will tell you the referee. I won't tell you the referee, but I will give the referee hint this week. So everybody knows that this match is being promoted under Jim Crockett Promotions. So the referee for that match is going to be a Jim Crockett Promotion referee. Now, you got to go back and do your math and figure out who that referee is, but I can tell you it's going to be a Jim Crockett Promotions referee. So make sure that so that's my first hint of the Ric Flair show. Now, one other thing I do want to tell you that I heard also is in 1986, Ric Flair had this, if you guys remember the robe that Ric Flair wore at the Great American Bash, during the Great American Bash 86, it was a white robe with like purple butterflies on it, and it had like the big teardrop sleeves. So they are replicating that robe for him to wear at the at this next match. So I'm excited. I thought that maybe he might wear one of his original robes out, but evidently maybe all those robes are gone at this point, because I do know a few of his ex-wives stole a few of them, and of course I know a few of them have been sold, and of course several collectors have some as well. So it's out there. The robes are out there, but they are making a brand new one, but they're replicating the white or the white with the purple butterflies. They are replicating that robe for him to wear at this event. So I'm excited, to see how that looks. One thing I'm excited also to see is I'm hoping Flair still has a few pair of his old boots, because we know that he wouldn't be able to get a new pair because Clifford Macias, who made all of Ric Flair's boots, has now passed away and is no longer able to make boots. So hopefully Flair still has a few pair of his old ones that he'll be able to wear those. Getting some trunks from K&H, that could be an issue too. Because I have contacted them, because K&H makes all of my gear too. And I wanted to get a pair of trunks, not with Ric Flair's initials, but I want to have my initials with the same same font as Ric Flair's. And she told me the lady that she used to have do the embroidering no longer does that. So I don't know. I'm excited to see what he does wear. And I'm really excited to see how this match plays out. But Chris, I'm telling you, it's going to be big. I know that. It's going to be big. It's going to be a lot of watchful eyes, and we're going to see, and it's going to be here before you know it. It's going to be an interesting concept, and it'll draw a lot of human interest at the end of the day. It will. A lot of old school people will definitely be there, and of course new school people will be there as well. I do believe it'll be a big draw for all involved, and I'm excited to see how it pans out. Well, fans, I think that's going to wrap up this week's show. Chris, you have anything before we leave tonight? Man, Tony, I'm excited. Great show tonight. We really
kind of talk the whole gamut, and happy Memorial Day weekend to everyone. We'll catch you back at the start of June here, a week from now, and the first hint that you're going to give away to Ric Flair's opponent. Can't wait for a week from now, and we'll circle back then. But, hey, stay safe, have fun, and summer's right around the corner.
I'm telling you, it's going to be great. Well, Chris, I hope you enjoy your Memorial Day weekend. I am, after we end this podcast, I'm going to upload it. And then I'm going to get in the family truckster, and we're going to be heading down to Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. My wife, my son, and I, and I'm going to soak up some sun and work on my suntan so that at the next show I will be as tan as my friend George South. That's my goal. Anyway, I'm definitely looking forward to that little vacation. And Chris, I hope that you have a great time at the Coca-Cola 600. That's going to be right here in our hometown of Charlotte, North Carolina.
Absolutely, Tony. Have a great time down the coast at the beach. Soak it all in, the seagulls, the warm water, and the good food down there. And yes, NASCAR's in town in Charlotte this weekend. I even hear Leonard Skinner's going to be there, Steve Miller Band, Florida, and who knows what else tricks they're going to pull out of their hat. But big Memorial Day weekend here for NASCAR, which has been a tradition for many, many years here in the Charlotte, North Carolina area. But hey, going down to the beach is also a great alternative this time of the year too. And I know you'll have a great time and see some sights.
Yes, I'm excited. I can't wait. And like I said, we're in the middle of packing right now. And I said I got to get my podcast recorded before tomorrow because I'll be headed south. So I'm glad I was able to knock that out. And like I said, Chris, hope you really have a great vacation.
Absolutely, looking forward to it. And hey, we'll circle back next week, and we'll be in the month of June and heading towards the best time of year for me, the summer months. Yes, sir. Can't wait. Well, fans, you guys enjoy your Memorial Day weekend, and we'll see you next week on the Binge Buster Show.
Thank you for listening to the Binge Buster Show. Make sure you like us on Facebook and download us on your favorite podcast platform.